everybody. It is Cinnamon Cootie, your art Sherpa, and today we are going to get away to our best possible retreat. This is the Lake Cabin Collab. I'm kicking this thing off with this fabulous waterfall forest retreat that I painted. Following me is going to be Angela Anderson and my mom, Ginger Cook Live. There is links, as always, and the moderators will keep you up. And immediately after me, you're going to be going to Angela, and then immediately after Angela, you're going to be going to Ginger. So you guys voted for this topic, but then I ran away with it. Then it kind of captured my imagination because it spoke to something really primal in me about having an escape. I don't know if any of you guys ever just feel like I really got to have an escape. I would love to have escape resort money, but I don't.
Yeah.
But maybe someday, I don't know. I play the lottery. But, you know, right now, not currently, but I can paint it. And you actually kicked this off because you were like, where would you like to paint?
Mm-hmm.
He did. He was like, where would you like to paint? And I was trying to get my head around this cabin collab, and then I was like, you know, I'm going to paint my dream studio. Maybe it's your dream studio.
Who is
like,
that he you keep talking about?
What do you mean he?
He. Is
John
that me?
Cooney?
Yeah, me.
My husband?
Well, you don't think you introduced me, did you?
I'm sorry. This is John Cooney, my husband. He tracks me with cameras and reminds me of things I don't say, which is a really important job on the show because I forget to say all kinds of things.
Well, it's okay. We
all the time. So if you're here for the very first time, we teach art.
Generally speaking.
We teach art. I'm going to show you how you can create this retreat. So we've got this fabulous waterfall into this cool, refreshing water. And there's this glowing window cabin sitting nestled all back in the trees. And don't you just seriously, if you just opened your door and threw your easel out there, when you just be like, I paint all the things. I'm so artist. So that was my feeling. That's where this came from. Hopefully you're going to see everybody else's offerings today. Angela Anderson and Ginger Cook Live. All right. Let's talk about our materials.
Our materials?
Now, our complete list of materials is in the description below, but we're going to start out with a 9 by 12 canvas.
Okay.
Okay. And on it, I have written a couple wishes, which is safety. There's an anonymous wish for safety for a mom and baby and a good genetics test to come out of that. We have a happy birthday, Millie. Happy birthday, sweetheart. I hope you're great. I hope you're wonderful. I don't know what they say down under, but whatever that is, we would say happy birthday here. So, maybe it's the same.
We're so American-centric. There's other parts of the world, and then you guys celebrate.
It's not our fault, because all of us who got dropped off by England, we all have the same problem, don't we? Really?
So, yeah.
Kind of. Let's own it. Let's own it. All right. So, and we also, on a more serious note, are sending love and prayers to everybody in Mexico, to any of our community members in Mexico. We hope you're okay. We're really sorry for what's going on, and we just wish safety for your families and you guys to be okay.
Yeah.
So that we did that. We did our wishes. We're going to start out with two interesting colors. I'm going to come over here. I have acrylic paint. This is actual acrylic paint. And I'm going to paint in the whole background of my canvas.
Okay.
Is everybody ready to do that?
We do. I think we've even got picture-in-picture today.
Oh, I'm so excited. Woo! I don't have the moving paint, the Bugs Bunny paint, but we're going to allow you to enjoy the Bugs Bunny paint as your reference.
You really enjoyed this. This brought back your motion, the motion graphics.
This just worked for me in every conceivable way, so now it's going to work for you. I hope it's okay. Kidnapping. So I have a synthetic bristle brush. This is just an inexpensive 1-inch synthetic bristle brush. More information about this will be on the website and on the links below. And I have here ultramarine blue and phthalo green. These two places where I'm going to start my color mix. And I'm going to just mix 1 part ultramarine blue and 1 part phthalo green, loosely mixed. I don't have to really incorporate them. And I'm going to cover my whole canvas with this ground. That is a solid color that coats your whole surface before you start painting. And the purpose is so that when you're dry brushing or doing the different techniques, you're not seeing little pops of white canvas coming up. If you've been having a lot of white canvas showing through problems, sometimes an acrylic ground is a great solution for it. It's not the only solution. It is just a great solution. And you might be noticing, look how transparent that paint is. That's just the pigment load in the paint. This is an economic paint, right? So they haven't lowered the pigment load. This is just what you might expect. because some paint colors are more transparent than others.
Right.
Since I'm doing so many greens and yellows on this cabin, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's another good reason to do a ground. And I knew to use this color because I wanted to create a cool, if you look at the reference picture, it's a cool, restful experience, isn't it?
It is.
Now, interestingly enough, cool colors recede, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ultramarine and the phthalo green. And my trees actually have, you may be able to see it already, you may not, depending on where you're at in your art journey, a lot of orange in them. So they're technically a very warm green. By making this a cool green, it pushes it back into the background and creates a sense of depth in my forest. You guys ask me that all the time. I read the comments after. I do. Read all the comments. Because it's my favorite to read the comments. And I'm just smoothing this out and enjoying this experiencing and realizing that I have no... Oh, there it is. There, my hairdryer's in the rocks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to straighten out my studio, and so things are...
Tanya was like, I would like to have some motion paint if you could manage it, please.
Working on the designs of motion paint right now. Woo! I'm going to sippy my coffee. I just grabbed my towel and I have to grab my hairdryer.
Okay.
So hopefully you guys can see this sort of, it's this cool green. It pushes it back. You're seeing this background. I'm reaching forward. Hairdryer. And hopefully I won't pop the fuse in the house. Let's sippy. I've got my froggy cup today. I hope you don't mind me sharing the cup I'm drinking from.
Oh, no, that's a very nice froggy cup. Now, Holly wanted to know if there are frames that would fit 9x12s.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I make a point on this show to almost always paint what's called standard size. So no matter whether it's a big or small canvas, it's a standard size canvas, which means you should be able to find at resale shops and local craft shops frames that you can just pop your piece into.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a thing I do. I think about your experience and then I do that.
Well,
Boop, 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 boop. Sorry. I'm going to be serious now. You know, art is supposed to be super serious, so I'm going to seriously draw my canvas now and let John talk to you.
okay, I'll do
But I'm
that.
going to give him a minute because he was...
I was plugging things in, but that's okay. So I was just saying, man, I was plugging in a bubble machine because I forgot to before the show. We had a lot of crazy stuff happening here. But I wanted to say thank you because we've already got over 300 people, and you guys, we love having you. And there's so more of you coming in and joining us every day. And we just wanted to say welcome. Welcome to our family. We love having you guys here with us. We especially love having you with us here on our live shows. It's just sort of, we like to have bubbles and we like to dance because we like to celebrate when we have so many people here doing art together because it's a special time and, you know, not something that happens every day. So thank you for coming and making this time special with us because it's so rarely do we all get together like this to you know, enjoy art together. And thank you. Just thank you very much for coming and being with us. We appreciate it.
Now you know what? As always, what did I forget? Something.
You forgot something?
Tape.
Just like me, I forgot to plug things in.
Okay. See, we've all got a thing.
I'm plugging.
So now, how I'm going to do the next part is I'm going to get my canvas blocked in. I'm going to lay out the main objects that I need to focus on in my canvas. And we've done this a bunch of different ways. I have here my handy dandy traceable. This is the pre-sketching. Are you bubbling me? I need tape, babe. This is the pre-sketching that I do before the show. I do all kinds of designs in pre-sketching. If you just saw my design and process show, you kind of understand how I do that. And I'm testing out a new product, Ceril transfer paper. Not a sponsored product. Basically, my mom has just been nagging me to get some because she says this is the bomb diggity. So we're going to find out if it is because she's very influential. I have some socks in my sock drawer.
Now
she was like, we're the best socks in the world.
Today we're doing things there. This is the collab and stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Today's a collab.
With your mom and
Angela
Anderson.
We're collaborating.
On
basically, that just means you get to paint all day for free on a theme.
On
we
a
themed
theme.
it. A theme.
It's a multi-artist theme. You know, which is, I mean,
you know, and if you guys knew how little we talked before these things and yet did not paint the same thing, it's amazing. right? Like, talk about like originality. We forgot. We just barely had a talk about what we were all painting, and then we kind of like we're like, oh wait, I did this and I did this, and then we were like, oh thank goodness we all didn't do the same thing.
Yeah.
So it seems that the sample pack, the Cereal sample pack, and I'll include a link in the description after the show processes, comes with a bunch of little colors. I'm gonna use white.
Yeah.
Does that seem nice? And you know what's super convenient about the sample pack?
What's that?
Looks like it's like a really good size.
It's a really convenient size. It's like
It is not perfectly convenient, but for the purposes of what I got to trace in, it looks pretty darn good. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I guess the
almost
full-size ones come in a row.
No, I guess you could tape the transfer paper down, then
yeah,
tape
I'm going to tape the transfer paper all where I want it, and then tape my tape my tracing paper where I want it.
But you could probably tape both those down, though.
Yeah, I can. I'm going to tape them both down. Tape everything down because stuff moves.
Tape it down.
And moving is not your friend.
Unless it's one of
No,
those.
and there's no version of moving that's your friend.
Well, what about those really cool, like wall posters that move? You know, the ones where they have the multi-layers.
You mean like our geef?
Like that one?
We made a geef.
We did. Well, that's what we were inspired. We like rain lamps and motion lights and GIFs.
You know, when I put this down and I wasn't paying attention to the side, it's supposed to. I'm going to. This seems shiny and dusty, and so like I lost for a minute the side the transfer was on, but I rubbed my thumb and then that made it real clear.
You figured it out.
Yeah,
it was like
it
this
was
side.
Self-explanatory, is what it was. So really, what I've got to have in is my shoreline, my waterfall, and my cabin. These are the objects I sort of have to know where they are. And I've got my pencil here to be doing some transferring.
So on our scale of 1 to 3, how difficult is this one?
This is a 3, but this is a 3 we're going to take our time with.
Okay.
Everything is scheduled out today at a very relaxing pace between everybody. So I think you guys are going to find that it's super doable. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Lots of skills, lots of layers. Sure, all that stuff is there. You know, moving paint is so much more challenging than still paint. I don't expect this particular new trend to be over anytime soon. Just a warning.
The problem with the motion paint is you can only get it in diagonally. So as long as you can get there.
Mark Golden's secret of your life. He's a Hogwarts art instructor.
He has a shop. That would be great. There's a secret art shop in Diagon Alley.
Okay, I am loving it. Dude, if there had been, I would have just completely lost my mind.
It's the only place where you can get the Goldilocks brush.
No, you can get the Goldilocks brush. Just go to our website on the brushes, and you can find out where our Goldilocks brush is for sale. Our brushes are out there in the world for sale. In the stores, hopefully near you. All right, so on my cabin, I'm going to trace this as careful as I can because I am not a straight line master. I need a ruler.
I don't know
to do
any.
that.
I mean, like, I guess there are. I know there are lots of people.
There are
who
people with a hand
but
that's on a rail.
Not me. I know what you mean.
Yeah, not me, and I don't need to be. I don't need to be. You know, I just sketch my stuff out. And I think my stuff out. I'm going to paint my whole little window in and then add my tree because I don't really know at this stage where I'm going to put all my little leaves. And since I don't know that, what do I have to do? I just paint my window in and then paint over it. Some step lines. Because I got steps, you got steps, we've got steps to step on in our cabin in the woods where we paint. Happy joy all the time. Yep. Serious song. I sing like my 5-year-olds. we compose very similar music, she and I. So I'm just trying to make sure that I've got some lines. You know, like I know I've got my little tree here. I've got some lines. This is an important set of lines. A lot of my brush changes this as I paint it. Just something to be aware of. Now, one thing I can do, oh, look at that! This is cool. So usually you have to lift this up and just see where it ended on my thingy. But I can see where it is. And that works out pretty well. So I'm okay with that. I think that's oh, that is awesome. All right. So first impressions.
Ooh.
My mom was right.
Neat. Works pretty well.
It did. First impressions, mom is right. That's never good news, is it?
It just worked.
That's never what we daughters.
Now, can you use any
for.
pencil to draw over the traceable if you're,
So you can use a chalk pencil or kids. For drawing over the traceable, you can do our other tracing method, which we've demonstrated. You can. There's a lot of ways to get this in. Just use I like to do a colored pencil sometimes so I can see where the heck I drew. I'm gonna put out some more paint, and it's a good time to Q&A and say hi to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And bubble if you need to bubble, because
we have way past 300 people here. We're like almost to 500 people here today.
because we all want a cabin in the woods.
A cabin in the woods.
A cabin in the woods with a waterfall and our bubble machine, where there's no internet or Facebook to stress us out.
Wait, no, that sounds bad. That reminds me of putting me on a boat. It's like, no.
No, John doesn't want to go on a boat. My mom
has-
keeps trying to bring John on a cruise, and he's like, no, have Crohn's. That's not a good trip for
No,
me.
don't trap me on a boat with a bunch of people and diseases and like limited food selection. No.
My mom.
I'm grumpy and curmudgeon-y on the best day.
Grumpy and curmudgeon-y is a very good description.
I like my little hobbit hole. We have our cool little, we have our technology and we have our friends who come and visit us online. I don't know that I think being trapped on a boat's a great idea.
I think everyone being trapped with you on a boat is a scary idea.
I think so too. I wouldn't want to be trapped on a boat with me.
You do not like a buffet.
No. That's just death
If you go
served
through the
warm.
list of things that John doesn't do or like, buffet is huge.
Buffet is way up there.
Way up there.
Well, it's because I am like afraid. I'm afraid my food's fighting back at me most of the time.
It is.
It's,
I'm going to be eking out the last of my cad yellow. I'll tell you that.
Oh
right
boy,
now.
you are. Just tweet, tweet, tweet. But
Down. I got to go paint shopping is what I got to do. But I'll put this amount on. I think I've got enough to get through the painting. If not, I've got a tube of hue. I will use hue if I have nothing else.
I was saying to everybody earlier, it's so wonderful that we have so many people, because we've got almost 500 people here right now, that are here to celebrate painting. And that's just, that's amazing to me,
I love that this many people are excited to paint.
Yeah.
Because you guys can do it. You
Yeah.
can paint. You can do this. This is totally achievable.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you my materials that I'm using so that basically it's just full transparency. There are other materials you could use to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of people that do these in watercolors or pastels, or this is ink, that do these in other colors, and that's okay too. You just get a different color. I'm going to miss this. If you're painting with acrylic paint, this is something I just really want you to observe. It dries pretty quickly. That is one of the features of the product. Unless you're painting with like Golden Open or Atelier or acrylic, it's going to be drying fast.
Yeah.
Oils dry slowly, acrylics dry fast.
I have to say that I'm feeling
Neither one is like preferable. It's just what they do.
our lovely Sherpets are out here being very validating.
Are they validating?
Yes.
They're validating you?
They're agreeing that buffets are bad. Bad.
They are for John. My mom loves a cruise.
Well,
And she would love us all to cruise with her, and we would love to cruise with her. I'm just trying to imagine John not eating for 7 days. And that is
used to.
exactly what would happen. Are you going to eat off the boat? No.
I would bring a bunch of
Are you going to eat
packed
from like a
nuts.
little lean-to on the beach? No.
But, well, actually, see, the
We
thing
can't
about it
even
is,
take him to VidCon.
I'm actually okay with the lean-to on the beach. If it's some guy who's natively, like he's got a little thing and he's cooking the food and it's all
You
like
weren't
natural.
like the food trucks? You were like, no.
Well, the food trucks are different.
Oh, okay.
Food
'cause
trucks,
Lean-to on the
that's-
beach and food trucks, same thing. To me.
No, that's like if you have someone who's cooking versus would be made. You don't know what happens inside the box. I see. This is not my. We gotta go. They were teaching painting today. We should go back to that. Not my craziness.
Okay, other thing I forgot, baby,
What'd you forget?
is a ruler to help me straighten
this
my junk out.
spider keeps
But while
stealing.
I'm thinking about straightening my junk out, I've got to lay in some colors that are round. I want to make sure my cabin is level. You want your cabin to be pretty level here, and you want your water to be very level here, so that when we make our little swirlsies here, we're okay. Can you grab me one of those chalk pieces there? Okay, chalk. I'm gonna get some kids' chalk, just so later I can fix some things. So I'm just making sure that these are because I'm not a level person. I'm not level-headed. I'm not level-minded. And it's going to be really fun. I'll show you the trick on how we get the reflection in. I'm going to show you how that's done.
Yeah.
Son. Right now I'm going to get, don't everybody groan, I'm going to get a number 8 cast. Because I like it, okay?
You do like it. It's good.
All right, I'm going to take a little of my phthalo blue and my phthalo green. Right? And I'm going to add a little burnt sienna to it. And interestingly enough, a little Indian yellow. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make this distant background. I'm going to start in. I'm flicking. Notice that I'm doing this sort of like back and forth little stroke. Notice that? I'm going to put out some glazing. I cleaned up yesterday.
Where did you move it?
Everything. I'm working on my studio. And it is... I'm one of these people, if you move anything, I don't know where anything is. This is acrylic glazing liquid. Okay, gloss glazing liquid. Yes, slow drying stuff. They changed the labeling, and so now I got to check and make sure, because there's 25 kinds of gack. All right, so notice that I'm just brushing this in, right? And the transparency allows what's underneath to show through. It's helping me out. I'm going to take this over a little bit to my left, and I'm just going back and forth. This is a soft dusting stroke. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to come dip a little bit in water, drag off the extra, pull a little more green out, a little more brown out. I'm going to swirl those together. I'm going to add a little more yellow here, and I'm going to get just a smidge of, let's go zinc white, if you have it. You can use titanium white if you don't. And I'm going to make some disty soft in acrylic paint. Where we struggle is how to make soft edges. My paint has to be wet, so I can work wet into wet, and so that's why slow drying products are super important. But see how we're creating this distant little forest bit? These are distant little leaves, and everything is loosely mixed on my brush, isn't it? So I have darker bits and lighter bits that I can work with. So there's a light bit right here, zigging down through. Quite lovely. I'm going to get a little more of my Indian yellow on my brush. I haven't rinsed it out. I'm just pulling, going brush, 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 flip it, brush, brush, brush. A little more zinc. Look at how light that color is compared to this. And I'm going to make a little distant in the woods light. See how my stroke is like back and forth, back and forth? Strokey stroke. These are just little bits of color and leaves that I'm dancing in because that just makes me so happy. Right? Pull it in. Oh, let's just be very happy right up here. There's maybe a trail back here that we would like to walk on our artist retreat that we are on right now. Do you feel it? The cool air, listening to the... I wish we had like little crickets. Well, we do have crickets, but we move them out of the room because it freaks everybody out.
I can add artificial crickets back in. We can subtly control them, but it throws people off sometimes.
See how that's distant and that's just like it's soft and... See? Distant and soft. That's what we're going for.
It's just distant and soft.
Distant and soft happiness will work for us until the future. Now, around here, I have some very dark green, and it's interesting because what I'm going to do, this is going to just trip you out. I'm going to take my burnt sienna and maybe even a little burnt umber into my green, okay? And back here, really kind of all through here, I'm going to add this deep dark color. This is the deep, dark woods. It is not black, but for the purposes of this painting, is almost our darkest chromatic black. So see, I'm pulling out green, 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 and brown. Pull, 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 flip it over. I'm loading by coming over here. This is loosely mixed on both sides of the brush so that I can just come in here and showing in a painterly fashion. That's letting the paint and the brush stroke show, coming in loosely, putting this on. Notice also sometimes I'm moving fast, so it's hard to see that I flip the brush, right? So I'm stroking on the right side of the brush, but then I flip it over to catch the left side of the brush, like you do. I'm coming around here. Now, this is just that first layer, so load, 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 load on the right side, pulling the brown down, pulling the green down, flipping it over. Let's get some burnt. Flip that over. Just dark colors. Now, I don't want to paint out everything that's going to be my rock, but I'm going to be layering dark values into each other here. I'm going to come along here. Now, this is the benefit of my brush because this is like 5 sides in one. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to pull this up. See how that made me nice lines? And then because it has a tip on it, I can come in my cabin. And I'll just take this color down into this rock a little bit. And I'm brushing, stroking over to the right into this rock a little bit. And I'm stroking a little bit over into this rock. That is going to help me. Now while I've got this dark color, come down your right hand side and stroke a little bit of it into the rocks over here. See along the top?
Yeah.
This is the green of the forest encroaching from this side. You can even, on the edge of your brush, see there's all these sides, you can go drop, 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 drop. Could you paint this with a bright? Yes, you could. Could you paint this with a round? Yes, you could. The brush that you want to use is the one that you trust in your hand. Right. The whole point of me painting in Q-tips and fingers all the time, besides the fact that it's super fun, I mean, that would be the main point. But it's also that I love brushes, I love good brushes, but remember the magic of the art is in you. That's where it's at. So now I'm going to add a little of this ultramarine over here into this mix. See how I pulled that down? And my burnt sienna and my burnt umber. This is going to give me a slightly deeper, darker value that I'm going to brush down here along this side of the house. Super dark. I'm even going to pull a little of it this way into my house. This shadow is deep over here on this left hand side around the house. It's a deep shadow. Very carefully pulling this up into my woods on the left hand side. It's a dark layering over a dark. Hard to see on camera, which is why I narrate what I'm doing. I'm pulling, pulling, pulling the ultramarine, pulling, 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 coming, pulling, pulling green, both sides of the brush, pulling, pulling the burnt sienna, both sides of the brush, pulling, pulling the burnt umber. Look at that. Loosely mixed on the brush. I'm going to come under my cabin. I will probably keep deepening this value. But I mean, the truth is that there's just a shadow under here, right? Because building. Add a little dark value over here in the spot between the waterfall and the left-hand side, just to say, just a few. Because these will pull up as slightly darker values to the eye. It matters. Rinse out my brush. And let's have an evaluate.
Oh, it's looking good.
Background soft, right?
Background soft.
That's what we're looking for. Things that are in the background are softer, are cooler. When I say cooler, I mean that they are to the blue or green, cool feeling values of the color scale, right? And so those are the things that we're doing, that we're pushing our forest back. Also, the colors we're using are implying this is a happy forest. It is a healthy forest. It is not going to be a horror movie forest. right? Different forest, right?
Well, if this is our forest, right?
This is our forest.
And
There's
it's
just deer and bunnies.
Well,
and
see
things
if I look at it like this way. So it's
Quail.
if it's deep and it's dark, and we've got our cabin in it.
Are they okay looking at the?
Oh, they love the animated one. They think, Elizabeth was like, "How did you do that?" And I was like, "Well, I animated it. It's not we didn't take a trip to Hogwarts and get it. And this is unfortunately
Everything should be like Hogwarts, though,
We-
shouldn't it?
but
Shouldn't everything be like Harry Potter's land?
we thought we would add
Thank
a
you,
little
J.K. Rowling. We appreciate you so much wherever you are right now, being billionaires.
and making our lives a little more magical because we have this to reference in our pop culture.
Wouldn't even have thought of it. Thank you.
Yep. But see, this was inspired by all those 70s motion motion wall arts and the oil paintings, and we were like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we had one of these that moved? And
We're on Giphy now.
and we did.
We give to you gift.
Gifted to
I'm saying to John, we got to figure out how to turn these into screensavers and like little phone things that you guys can just download.
Yeah, we will. We will definitely be doing that kind of fun
But
stuff.
feel free to share. It's on
But-
Facebook. It's all around.
So I was thinking this must be the dork forest.
Oh yeah, deep in.
Yeah, because if our cabin is here, this is where we're at. This is the dork
That's how
forest.
Gamer designs a forest. So, any questions?
Oh my gosh.
I'm just letting you guys catch up for you guys that are
So
playing all live.
Dixie was wanting to know what other brushes could you suggest here?
Okay. So what you're going to want is a brush that allows you to get a soft blended edge. Brights will do it. If I was going to grab a bright, I'd probably grab like one of my Cambridges, which is a bristle synthetic mix, because I can scumble that a bit.
Yeah.
Another choice that you could have in your kit is a filbert. So a synthetic filbert will have a rounded edge, and that's softer. My cat's tongues are based in a brush that you see in watercolor and oil painting, that it's like a filbert that comes to a point. But if you just had a filbert, what you're trying to do is get a soft edge. I have seen artists just reach up with their finger and smudge though too. So really don't feel limited. Right? Like if you don't have like a lot of toxic paint on your canvas, like if you had raw cadmium, you could have an allergy to that paint. You might want to just not reach up there and smudge real cadmium. But if you had cadmium hue, which has no cadmium in it, you could just go smudge and have a blast.
Yep.
And I don't have an allergy, so I don't really worry about it because I have to eat it to have a problem. I'm not going to eat my paint. My mom's the only one in danger of that. If you guys saw the cupcake issue,
Barbara thinks your hair.
cupcake incident.
Barbara thinks your hair is fantastic today.
Thank you so much. I love right after I color my hair. It's like the best time ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying out some new products to see if I can keep the color vibrant. I'll let you know if it's good. Not that I'm remotely a beauty channel at all. Sippy sippy.
Oh, and someone was just Chairman Wesley's was saying how nice our rock eyeballs were. Our company artists. Well, thank you very much. We've had a lot. There's a lot of wonderful people out here just giving us.
John is very fond of the rock eyeballs. He
I
worked
did.
really hard on that
Oh,
video.
I did. But
We will be resharing it over the 13 days of Halloween.
everybody is super excited about all of the paintings. Got lots of great suggestions for more of our animated ones. They're very excited about all this stuff.
Oh,
So,
expect to see more.
Yeah, they're having
that's
a great
not going
time out
away
here.
anytime soon.
And they love that we live in the dork forest. They were
So
like,
deep.
They were all trying to make sure that they were like, did you just say dork? Like,
Dork. Oh, yes.
like nerd forest.
Like-
Yep, deep in it.
Deep in it.
That's where we lived.
D&D, gaming, early arcade, game designer.
Got married at the Renaissance Festival.
Got married at the Renaissance Festival. Dates used to be anime films.
It's true.
And it's old school anime too. Not none of this newfangled anime. Newfangled anime.
we had to collect our anime on laser discs and VHS tapes.
A little bit goth.
That's
Dorky
true.
goth. But so long ago, I get to wear whatever color I want now because I actually paid the dues.
We did.
I paid the dues, dude. All right, so I'm seeing my water is still green, so I can still use this, right? Even though the water is dirty, I don't really have to worry about changing it yet. If I was going into orange colors, I might consider changing this green water. I'm going to take I've got a number 4 bright. I'm going to load a little bit of my phthalo blue. And come over to my phthalo green, and you guys, if you've been with me for a while, you know I'm making phthalo turquoise, which you can buy in the tube. I'm going to come right here, and I'm going to just create a little of this, right, like you do. And let's get a little white on there. right along the top. Just a little bit of white. You can blend it. We're not really going to worry about that water too much until we pull it down the rocks. Let's rocky rock like a Dora. Let's Dora the Explorer our rocky rock. So I'm going to take a little of my phthalo blue and my Mars black. You guys will be familiar that this is also like a Payne's gray. If you have Payne's gray, feel free to use it now. And I'm going to come along here, and this is the first part, is my dark rock. Now on this, the reason I switched to a bright is I like kind of hard edges on my rocks, right? And the bright tends to give those to me in better angles, which feels rocky. So I'm creating a texture there that I can really appreciate and enjoy, right? I've seen the blues kind of underneath, and that's all sort of cool. Now, I've got this color, and I'm going to come over to my burnt umber and get a little of your zinc, right? The zinc not as tinting as the titanium white. Gives you a little more control. If you just have titanium white, don't panic about that.
No.
And I'm going to create a highlight value at the top of these rocks that's mild, but there.
Dee Dee wanted to know
Hi, Dee.
she would like to know what the difference between a bright and a flat is.
A flat is the filaments. I don't know that I have a flat. I have one here somewhere. So this is a number 12 flat, and here is a number 12 bright. Right? And what this is, so the length out on the filaments are a little longer on, actually, nope, that's a bright too.
Yeah,
I don't think I have flats.
You don't use a lot of flats.
The reason I don't, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a flat. Basically what it is the flat will come out about this much more from the end of the ferrule. And that softens, and it can be longer, and it softens the brush. If I was painting oils, if I'm painting watercolors, if I'm painting a softer paint, like if I was painting like basics paint, right, which is a softer body paint, I could use a softer brush and it wouldn't impact me. But I'm using heavy body paint, so I need a brush with some force,
right,
some intention, some See?
But you know,
but like Angela, who's coming after me, she paints a lot of softer paints, so you'll see her use a lot of softer brushes. She's straight up right for what she's doing.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to use
right brush, right paint. The girl knows.
Yeah, if like you tried to use our red handles for like watercolor, it'd be like painting with a comb, just like they don't do that.
No, it would not be the right choice. I'm going to load up some more zinc here, right? And let's just make sure that we've got some nice little highlights in our rocks. See how I do that? Boom, 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 and using these hard angles to just imply some little highlight. I need the center here to be as dark as it can be. Now, while I've got this, I'm going to turn this around actually at the start of this rock. I'll start with my light color, and I'll pull it down, and definitely at the head of this little guy, and then over here. Because that way when I pull my dark values in, I won't be like all confused later. So I'm coming down here again with my lighter value. Even though I know I'm going to be coming back with my dark value in just a nanosecond, this is my friend. Creating these value steps allows me to see what the heck I was thinking. Because sometimes you'll be like, what was I thinking? I don't know. Right? So now that all the paint is almost offloaded, I can go right back to my phthalo blue and my phthalo black. Please observe, acrylic paint, it's drying on the palette.
Yeah.
If you're trying to know, there's a lot of really great demos out there on YouTube. And people will send me links to videos and be like, how do I paint that? And I'm like, well, oils. Or that's just a whole different media. Or one of my favorites is a really great rose painter out there, but he uses an open acrylic paint. His name is escaping me at the moment. But it's just a different product, right?
Yeah.
So it performs differently. Now, he totally lists what he's using so you would know.
Right.
That's and you just got to be looking for that. But that's one clue that you as an art sleuth can suss out is what is that, you know. If it's on paper and there's a lot of water, it might be watercolor. There we go. I'm just making sure there's some dark value even up where my water is going to be. See?
Yeah.
So my rocks are just starting to happen. Now I'm going to get a lot more of my zinc. Let's blend this out right here. I'm going to come and add some green in a second. This is just a fun thing that I can do. Offload, get more of my black, more of my blue. See how I'm going to pull, 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 flip, pull, 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 flip, pull, pull, pull. If I get too much paint, you see me go, whoa, offload, offload, abort, abort. That's all that's happening.
Well, and you can just wipe it off on your
You wipe it off on your towel.
Just keep going.
Yeah, nothing to worry about here. I'm going to pull the dark of this rock back into the cabin like you do, like you would. And a little bit here. But now, don't those rocks like just start to, they just pop up. It's like a magic trick sometimes, I swear. And I'm going to make sure that this under here is mostly dark. Not all the way to the top. And I'm going to take this darkness down. And notice I changed my brush directionality. I start going back and forth. You're going to see when I go into my water space, I'm going to switch to a much more back and forth horizontal stroke. And already we're starting to get some feeling of water. Back into my zincs. My zincs, my zincs, my zinky, zinky, zinc. You know? And I'm just making my little rocks. And they're going to be even better than my first rocks. Because they're so good.
You're so rocky.
They're so rocky. Rocky, rocky road. Now, what's nice is sometimes to grow a little moss on your rocks. I can take my Indian yellow and my phthalo green and mix it together and add a little burnt umber.
Hey, Angela just joined us in chat
Hi,
today.
Miss Angela Anderson.
How you doing today?
And I'm going to add just a little moss, right? Because my rocks, the water is splashing up on it. So what would happen? Well, it would get some mossiness.
Now, this
Look,
is
they're just mossy up your rock. Let it run down. Look at that.
Mhm.
So fun to do. Oh, my rock got mossy because there's splashes.
because there's water all over there.
Splashes. Sorry, I really like my cabin, and that's what's happening. So I'm going dash, dash, dash. I'm over here on the left. I'm dashing this left-hand side rock, but I'm leaving like random shapes, and I'm dashing here, and it's random shapes, and then boom, boom, boom. Not a lot, just a little. Come back up here and be like, could it be there? Yeah, it could be. Now it's got some moss.
Now, what color? Which whites do you have out there?
I have titanium white and zinc white. You could use titanium white and mixing white. I just really like gold and zinc white. You could probably get away with some type of glazing medium or clear gel and make your white more transparent. Be a lot
Gotcha.
more work. I mean, yeah, like if I was stuck out in the woods and all I had was titanium white and a glaze, I'd make it work. I wouldn't be like, I can't paint now.
Now, real quick, can you just the difference between zinc and titanium?
There's a whole video on all the whites.
Oh, good.
We
Yeah.
did a whole quest video on all the whites, and you guys will love it. Because I'm like, I did one on all the blacks, why there are all these different blacks, and explain how they're different.
Mm-hmm.
And I did one on all the whites. Because
Okay.
it'll look like there's 200 if you look at all the colors. And we cover like lead and zinc and flake and blah, blah.
Well, and you know, so when you go back over there next time, can you just recover how you mixed that Payne's gray that you made there?
Sure. So when I'm making a Payne's gray, I pull the blue, pull the blue, pull the black, pull the black. And you can see that it's a bit of a grayer mixture when you add a little white to it, but it's got a blue tone to it. You could buy Payne's gray if you wanted to. Do you want to?
Do you? Do you want to?
It's really up to you.
That's
I'm
really
going to
getting-
make my phthalo turquoise again, which is pull the phthalo blue, pull the phthalo green. So just to recap, ultramarine blue, phthalo green, burnt sienna, burnt umber, phthalo blue, diox purple, cad red light, cad yellow light, Indian yellow, titanium white, zinc white, some glazing medium, and black. And I'm going to mist again because already it's skinning.
Now, how you paint your rainbow is totally made up of your own colors. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Have a blast. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. Now I'm going to switch over to my titanium white because it's more opaque. It has a stronger tinting strength. And I'm going to pull down. So see how this is loaded and mixed on the brush? I got my phthalo turquoise and then I pulled my titanium white.
Pull, pull, pull.
Boom, boom.
Boom.
Now here's the first thing. Very light stroke. Pull this down. Straight down. Water is not going to move unless a rock moves it.
Or you animate it.
Or you animate it.
Which we did on the picture-in-picture.
Angela must be like, what are they up to now? She's got to think I'm such a goof. What a strange friend. What a strange
Well, that's what
friend.
happens when you make friends on YouTube. Just, you know.
I just wonder, she's like, man, should I have said hello to this girl's email? So I've loaded a little more white onto my brush. And I pull down, and notice I'm actually, when I start this stroke is probably my strongest pressure, and as I pull it down, I actually move my body and my pressure away from the canvas. The stroke can widen out as the water falls down, but it shouldn't go sideways.
Now, Ashley,
And I'm just pulling this down. See, I'm using
Asha.
the edge of my brush and just pulling it down.
so Asha has
Come right here.
she's always struggling with with rocks and water.
Yeah, they're hard.
What are the big things to making them look right there?
So stuff you have to have with water is where it pools, it better be level.
Leveling, yes.
Level's a big deal.
And vertical falling water.
And vertical falling water. If it's going to go to the side, you need to give it a rock or some visual excuse to have moved.
Yeah.
Right? You can sit there and say that it's widening out from gravity right as it comes down. I'm going to add another little stream down here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what it is. I might come back and come across the top with my brush stroke there, but I'm just going to pull down. So this is not my final stroke here, but that's the start of my waterfall. See how it's starting? Already it looks like a waterfall.
Yeah.
Let's finish it and make it really, really look like a waterfall. Make it really, 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 really. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to put my brush to the side for a second. I'm going to grab my smallest clouding brush, which is this number 4 cloud.
I swear.
You could use a small stiff bristle brush. You could use a small Deerfoot stippler. Anything that's going to give you a scruffy, scumbly line is all you're looking for. Right? So I'm going to load this up, right? And I'm going to come here with my zinc, and I'm going to very carefully scumble a little mist. See my little mist?
Make some magic mist.
My little magic mist. I want where my water is hitting to be a little bit misty. And I still want that to be dark, so I just actually finger rub that off. See, I told you, artists will just touch their canvas with their finger. We just do it. We're just rebels. There's no wrong way to get the paint on the canvas. There's just results you're happy with and results you're really unhappy with. And sometimes a result that makes me happy could make you unhappy. That's happened too. So see, we've got this nice mist effect here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go ahead and at least do one layer of mist, even though I can come back a little bit later. But I'm just going to start talking about this little mist here. Now, there's a couple layering process that we're going to do. So I'm going to get, my brush is still a little dirty and the blue is still here, but I'm pulling out my titanium white. I'm going to come to the top and pull down. Especially right here where the water is cresting over the rock, and then I'm going to pull some of that down.
Mm-hmm.
Here at the top is the white. All right, that is your bright white right here. And I will pull some of it down the waterfall. I'm just making sure that there's that nice. I'm going to have to make a dark rock there. My rock isn't dark enough or pulled enough. So I'll have to go back and fix that. And the other thing that I'm seeing here is this got off level, so I'm going to level it like you do. Now that I've got that sort of in, right, I'm wiping my brush off. Just making sure.
I just want to say thank you. We have a wonderful crowd of people from all over the world who've joined us today. It's just really nice to have people here with us.
So
thank you guys for coming and being part of our community. We just love having you.
Cloud brush again, right? Just, making sure everything has the right layering. So what you should see is a highlight at the top of the waterfall, and I'm looking in my camera because that's my backup. I can't back up. This still needs to be even lighter. Where the water crests over, it's going to be lighter. So I'll pull from this side as my paint is skinning. There, see, there we go. There, just dry brushing that over. So see, not a lot of moisture on my brush. Whoop. Not a lot of moisture on my brush. And I'm just looking for it. Does it look how I want it to do? If you need to pull the line down, there we go. Nice, nice, nice. And then you just push back with the mister. See? Nice stuff. I'm going to get my rock, and I'm going to fix my little rock here. And that's my fall. That's all that's involved in the fall. You know, it seems so much more intense than that, but really it's just always a play between those values and your rocks. So I'm just making sure that this is a dark value. Just making sure it's a dark value.
So Brandy would like to know if there's a way to paint this on a larger canvas for those who are not
Sure.
freehanders. So if you're not, if like, you know, the Traceable is designed for smaller, you know, so they have if they're having trouble, like, you know, scaling that up, what would you say?
That, I would say you're going to have to go to a specialty place to have it printed up. We've got some stuff. There's raster. What is it?
You can projector.
There's a projector.
You can use projection.
There's some different options that you can have. It's just making sure that that looks. Let me see.
There you
Yep. So we've got a rock here. I think I overlightened that, so I'm going to darken it back up.
go. Okay.
I look at my main camera to see how I did. The next thing I like to do is I like to make sure that my area right around my fall is pretty dark.
Yeah.
Is pretty in shadow. All right, just right where the fall is. See? Push that back. Even up this rock. Push that back. Just a little. See, I'm just taking my brush and just making sure that that is deep and dark and in my woods. Yep. Okay. So happy, 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 joy, joy. So much to do. All right, let's find my. I think I'm going to get my number 4 out because it's a bright would be good too. I'm going to get my smallest Cambridge out for my cabin.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm feeling.
I'm just reading some very cute messages here. We've had some.
Very cute messages.
Some wonderful messages, and
I'm gonna pull my burnt sienna, pull my burnt umber, pull. Get a smidge of your phthalo blue, pull, flip it. Let's paint in our cabin.
Itobri, I think that's the name. I only caught a couple of them that were sliding by. But over there in India, we have a 7-year-old who is super excited about painting with you and just can't wait to grow up and paint just like you. And so, hi, little.
Totally recommend This Is a Life.
Yeah.
It is a very honorable, good life, and I love it very much. So I'm on the edge of my brush to work around my windowsill here, and I'm just brushing along. I'm picking my stiff bristle brush because it leaves kind of a scratchy, textural brush mark, right? It's not a smooth brush mark, and I like that for my wood. Just something I do that you might not think of that I got going on. Decision I'm making, right? So pull, flip, pull. Little blue, pull. Come along the edge here, paint around your cabin. Imagine that you're far away. Yay. I'm just putting in my cabin. Putting it in.
Mm-hmm.
Fun stuff. The reflection is so much easier than you think, too. Well, I hope so.
Oh yeah, everyone's.
I hope everyone feels that the reflection is easier than they thought. That's what I'd love to hear. I'm going to pull a little more blue into my burnt umber. Pull. Right? Come right here with my darker value. 'Cause that's our shadow on our cabin, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And we need one. We do. Pull. Right under here. See? pulling down right under the roof, almost to the window, still pulling down a little bit from the left-hand side towards the right. That is our deep, dark shadow.
From the left
Now,
to
while
the
this
right.
is all still on my brush, I'm going to get some black and come right here, right? Even under the cabin a little bit. And I'm going to take the side of my cabin and make it almost black. It's so in the woods there, it's so in shadow that it's almost unviewable, right? Well, this is all super dirty. Oh my gosh!
What'd you do?
I forgot to put out yellow ochre.
Yellow ochre. No, is
I
yellow...
always check the materials list at the beginning of my lessons for these moments that I have, because we correct them on the website. We make sure everything's like perfect on the website.
Now, could you substitute anything for yellow ochre?
I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones you just kind of need that
I think
one.
you just really should get some yellow ochre. It's a gold brown, and you should have some in your palette. So see how my brush was dirty, but I'm like using that to just tint back my yellow ochre for me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come here, and I'm doing this sort of like little downward brush stroke. I'm going to make sure that this feels like a nice hewn wood plank. Right? I'm pulling it down. Got a little smudge of paint there, so I'll smooth that out. I'm just coming along here. Right? Pull, 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 flip, pull, 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 load a bead. Just making sure that that's right there. Pulling it up even. So then I'm going to start trying to make the brush stroke where it's sort of like, see, I'm pulling from the bottom and pulling up, and it's creating that textural brush stroke. And I'll switch over to this side and pull from the top to the bottom, but you can kind of see it creates that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to get some of my dark, 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 dark just right on there. And I'm going to just hide. I mean, it barely shows that foreshortened bit. Now, my roof, I'm going to get into my black and my white. This is a very dark roof. So how I do that is I mix that dark gray first, painting out all my white chalk, because that would definitely, or that Sorrel transfer. All right, coming along here. Coming along here. All right. Now I'm going to wipe off my brush and take a little of this. So this has got a little of that yellow ochre, and it's got that black, right? I'm going to get a little of my zinc white into this. See that? I'm going to come along the top of my roof, and look, I'm just brush stroking down, aren't I?
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit so you can kind of see it. Wipe off my brush, get a little of my titanium white into this mix. Right here at the top, add a smidge highlight just to the forward of these shingles. Not the whole roof. Some of this roof is really in shadow. And not all the shingles. Look, as I'm coming down, there's less and less and less, right?
Yeah.
And less. Just barely there. Little light. Casting down on my roof. If you need to come back with your black and just really push that roof back, you can do that. Don't feel like you can't. The roof is back into the woods. It is. Now it's true, we're going to light up these windows, but the basis of that is interestingly going to be a little of my burnt umber, my cad red light, and a little of my blue. I add the cad red because it warms this color over just the straight burnt umber and blue, and it will enforce the glow that I'm going to be putting in these little windows later, which is obviously so awesome in the animation.
It is.
So I'm just painting in the square, painting it in, painting it in. So it's a nice dark color. I'm going to come in. My brush is still dirty. Look at that. It's still dirty. I'm going to get some of my yellow ochre. But now I've got this cad red and this burnt umber and a little blue in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that creates this different nice little value. And I'm going to come along the top here I'll put my little stairwell back in. But first I've got to put this front board. Now something to think about, behind the tree and towards the woods, let's get a little purple on my brush, too much purple, but I'm just trying to gray and darken this. You want to make sure that this side of your board, even though it's behind the tree, is darker and more muted than this side, which is going to be in the light. Just a weird important thing you got to think about. Rinsing out my brush. I'm going to get a little of my burnt umber, maybe a smidge of my black here. I'm going to make another little step. See my next little step? And you can go ahead and put your little step ups. See, I'm just trying to be square. Right? Now with this here, I'm going to get right into the Indian yellow. And you can even add a smidge of cad. Just a smidge, that's too much, into the whole thing as you're lightening up this space. And I'm going to come right here on the right hand side of the cabin, lighten this up. And let's start. I'm going to get a little zinc white into it. Look, we got to lighten this up. Make sure that that stays square. Come here if I need to. A little bit right here. See how I'm lightening these up?
Mm-hmm.
Offloading. Grabbing a little more of my ochre. Just want to make sure that I've got nice value right here, coming along here. Maybe a little bit here. Now as I'm going back though, what can I do? I can add a little of that purple, right, to that whole mix.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore darken it back here. This will help push it back behind the tree and into the shadow of the forest. My trick is just try to make sure that this is straight enough. This is where the struggle is. And if it is a struggle, don't feel bad about it. All right, so there we have those values. We've got that blocked in. Now rinse this out, because we're blocking in really well, right? I'm going to take a little of my phthalo blue over to my cad red light. And I'm going to paint in the red boards of my door. All right. Carefully as I can. This is a number 4 Cambridge Bright. You could use another kind of bright.
Mm-hmm.
You could use a black pearl bright. You would be okay. You could use a totally different brand of bright. You would be okay. Added a little water because my brush was getting gummy. And I'm just trying to make sure that I'm getting this door laid in. I can come back, like I overpainted the red there, I can come back and fix that. It's going to happen. You could have that happen. Don't stress about it. You're just trying to say, right now, this is the basic objects that I'm seeing. I'm going to get a little of my burnt umber on here. I'm going to come to the right hand side and I'm going to pull back. See how I'm making that a nice line? Pulling that back. A little bit above the triangle here, pull that in. You can even come right under this window.
This is really the dark, dark undertones.
This is the dark, dark undertones, and this is where let's go right under our stair here. I'm going to come in with this dark, dark value. I'm going to come right under our stair and start talking about a dark, dark value. Just along here. So I'm taking out the chalk. Maybe I'll get a little purple. Maybe I'll get a little of my black. I just need to really devalue under the house. Look at that. Now it's starting to pop.
Oh, yeah.
Not just black. I use purple. You know,
And that's
feel like
interesting.
you can use people's eyes against them if you need to.
You talk about those, and I've heard you talk about
And then I'm going to
living
take this.
shadows.
Yeah, this is living shadows, right? These have reflections. They have color. They have tone to them. They're not just black. I'm going to load my brush up with a little purple here. I'm going to come along the base of the cabin. See? And the base of the board. Even more over here. Back and forth. Scumbling up and down. See me scumbling?
Mm-hmm.
I'm creating what? All through this lower part of the cabin and up the side a little bit, this shadow. Once we have that basis in, this comes in quick. Rinse,
Does
rinse,
it?
rinse. Yeah. Let's have a sip of our coffee
Okay.
and recap while you guys catch up with me. So the first thing that I did is I painted in an acrylic ground that was a mixture of ultramarine blue and phthalo green. Then I came up here with, and I, thinking again, but I do believe it's a phthalo green, burnt sienna, and a little Indian yellow. And I started to create this cool, and I think I even put some phthalo blue into it, this cool background here with this warm Indian yellow. This is a cooler background than this warmer deep forest that's around our house. And that's going to push it back. And we used some zinc to create some highlights and a little more Indian yellow. We leveled out some water and started to paint in our rocks with the Payne's gray, right? We started putting the deep values and a little bit of the highlights using zinc white, playing a little bit with the burnt umber into that. And then even adding a little moss, we pulled our water down and layered with some mist with our scumbling techniques in our zinc white. We talked about making our water level, right, down here. And we blocked in our cabin. In our cabin, we start putting in the roof. But we made sure that there was a dark value back here and our highlights were just at the forward front edge. This side of the plank, which is more in shadow, we grayed with purple to push it back. But this side, we used a little more of the cad red and warmer colors to pull it forward. This side of the cabin is imperceptibly warmer than this side, right? We used brighter, richer tones on this side. So all of this is being just imperceptibly pulled into shadow. Even on this side, we created that darker value, didn't we?
Yeah.
So you're starting to see those things come together. What do you really got to have? You've got to have this different value back here to put the forest back in. You've got to have this nice cone to create your waterfall. You know you want it to be level and pulled down. Level and pulled down. And you know you want your cabin to be in zones where this side is more in shadow than this side.
Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to make a little technical commentary here because we have to adjust the cameras to be on the very edge of black and white. So you'll notice that sometimes at the beginning of a show, you'll barely be able to see the white line, the lines on the background, and that's because when we get to the shots like this, you can barely see how dark everything is. So our eyes can see more shades of light and dark than the camera can. So I have to fight with the camera to be able to see everything that you would naturally in your own studio. So while it appears really, really dark here, it is dark, but it's not completely blacked out. And I just want to add that from a technical standpoint because I know you guys are really working hard to try to understand what you're seeing.
Can they see it on the up-close camera?
Well, see, on the up-close camera, it looks a little dark. And it's not that it's too dark, but it's just on the very edge of being black. And that's because when we go to white, it almost turns to white.
Do we need to do any adjustments so they can see this value?
No. I just want to let everybody know that because there was a question of do you really need to make it that dark?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm not a high hat painter.
Right.
Which is a very light value painter.
But
kind of like I am much more of a dramatic, dark values with bright pops of highlight painter.
Yeah.
Everybody just has a style. That's my style.
But
That's the thing I do.
We have a technical challenges as we try to make these shows. So I just try to make sure that there's some transparency in that how we, there might be some slight variations.
So I'm going to start cleaning up around my cabin. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Doc's purple and my Cad red together. And right here inside the door, I'm going to clean up. It's too much moisture. See how wet that is?
Yeah.
So I'm going to come in. Another thing when you're trying to determine what people are using, see if they're thinning their paint with medium or water. If they are, it's probably acrylic. If you're not seeing that, it's probably oil. Just something to think about.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't paint both. You can just totally paint it. Just manage your expectations of what it'll do. Right? We can be influenced by each other for sure. Okay. Okay. See so how we've rich it, that's like it's like, man, it just disappeared, but we're about to pop it up with some red.
We've got to lay in the deep, deep dark tones.
We do. We do. If those shadows aren't there, then the painting isn't there.
And it doesn't have that rich layering effect.
Now I'm loading up on both sides of my brush. See me pulling out the cad red. And I'm going to come around my door and start to brighten up our red molding. So our fabulous little cabin person put in some red molding, didn't they? I definitely want some bright red molding around my window. Wipe off. Now, I'm going to get some more red, but there's a little bit of the purple there, see? It tones it a bit so it's not pure cad. Come around here, and I'm going to be stronger with this value on the right-hand side than the left, because that's my light source. So light there, coming there. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Looks beautiful. I'm going to wipe off my brush but not rinse it. I'm going to get a little of my yellow ochre and my burnt sienna together. I might add a little of my cad red to it. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to make a little impression of a board. And then I'm going to come up above it a little bit, making a little impression of a board. I don't take the stroke all the way across this canvas. Another little impression of a board. Then I turn my brush on its edge and I make a little kiss of a board. I'm going to come above the door, little kiss, little kiss. Come to the left of the door and pull back, another little kiss of a board. Come back and pull in another little kiss that would line up with that one. These are just hints. And know you're going to have a tree in front of this, so don't get crazy right here. A lot of this layers away. Right? Now, I've rinsed off my brush. I'm going to come back to my burnt sienna and my yellow ochre. You can even this time get some cad yellow. Cad yellow. And I'm going to create another little highlight. These places. Alright, push my little step in. Maybe enforce these little forward bits. Brush that back. Starting to look good. Starting to look finished and resolved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wipe off. Got some paint on it, so really wipe off. Now I'm going to take a little of my cad red and my cad yellow. And I've made some cad orange right here, haven't I?
Yeah. I'm
going to lightly, in this corner, right-hand corner, dust down a little of this light. And just kiss down here. Not too much. A lot more in this window.
Now, do all of these layers help improve your highlights?
Yes. Now I'm going to get a little more of my cad yellow on here. Right? And then come right here. Look at that happen. We've lit up a cabin window. We're like Thomas Kincaid up in here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Wipe off, get a little zinc. Not zinc, titanium white. And let's add a little highlight. Right there and right there. Now, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to go wipe, 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 wipe. I'm going to get my orange back, right, which was my cad yellow and my cad red. At this board, kiss a little bit to the right. And around the door. See? Where the light is. A little more yellow. What's happened there by doing that? What did we do? We lit it up, didn't we?
Yeah.
We turned the lights on in our cabin where they need to be on. Now I'm going to add a little of my yellow ochre to this mix that I have. And maybe a little zinc. And I'm going to come under my door, create a highlight. And on my step, create a highlight. Wipe off. Get my orange and a lot more of my yellow. Let's light up our steps. Get your white on your brush. Pull, 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 pull. Kiss, 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 kiss. That's all. Cabin. Right? The only thing that you could do to finish your cabin is to get a little of the deep purple, right, in the burnt umber on your brush. And define the shadow under the roof. Right? Between the door and the window and around the door jamb. See what we're doing? Between the boards. Between the boards. On this side of the door jamb. See our cabin just suddenly pop into 3D? You can come right under here. Just dusting that purple. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
The purple is key. That is the, oh my gosh, look at the light on this
Coming
cabin.
together, yeah.
Can I just have a moment and be just like, I love
See,
showing
look,
everybody how to do this because this is the jam.
Look at this camera. See, when you look up on this one and then you pull out a little bit, you can really see that there. We can leave the other one there up next to it and you can see.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
I am
like
my mother's daughter and I can light up a cabin.
You can light a cabin.
I can light a cabin. All right, so there we go. Now I need to make some rocks, right, that are here. So let's talk about our rocks. I think my rocks can be a little black and a little blue. So it's my phthalo blue and a little of my black I've got here. Let's get a little, let's start coming along the front of these rocks and adding this shadow. Right, because we have these rocks along the stream bank, don't we?
Yeah.
And maybe a little shadow at the top of these rocks as well. Where the slate is. Just shadow, shadow, shadow along this bank.
Velma wants to move in. She's like,
I want to move into, man. I'm ready to move to this cabin. I'm like going to give this to an architect someday. When I win the lottery, I'm going to get a little of my zinc on my brush. And I'm going to just come and start talking about the tops of some of these. Right? Just adding this value. Lots to do, lots to think about. Notice the sink is not so powerful that we've just created like two crazy zones. We'll come with a lot more zinc. I might even tint it with a little of my ochre. Look at that.
yeah.
And right under the cabin, what do I have? I'm just back and forth dusting. Dusting, dusting, dusting. Look at this. So I've got to pull my shadow down. I got a little crazy.
Yep.
Like you do. Don't want to lose it entirely. Take this right in front of my cabin. That was a little of my burnt umber and my dog's purple. Make sure I come around here with this dark color. Look, not crazy, but I am. Push, push, push. Very nice. What?
Stephanie B's like, you need to put that little cabin on wheels. Then you can roll it anywhere you like.
Stephanie B is right, but I can't do it. I just don't know. All right, I'm going to take my yellow ochre and a little of my black here. I'm just getting my yellow ochre, and I'm going to get a little of my zinc.
She already has one of those.
By titanium.
She already has one of those cute little things.
I'm going to just dry brush some rock on top. And then maybe this guy gets a little highlight. There could be a little highlight here. Highlight there. This could have some highlights coming down. So I go brush, brush down, over to the right, brush, brush down. I'm looking for the shapes. I'm seeing there's sunlight coming in here. Push this back. So there's some highlights, right? Now I can go right into, let's pull out some phthalo green and some burnt umber. Because our rocks could have some moss too, couldn't they? Maybe some moss is all coming down to that edge there. Moss, 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 moss. Coming in here. Moss, 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 moss. And what I'm going to fight out is creating clear zones, clear spaces of rocky rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Phthalo blue, phthalo black. I'm going to make sure this ledge, maybe there's a bit of darkness that comes back where the slab is broken. Maybe darken that up here a bit. Along the bank, right? Along the bank. Little highlights. Dark back here, because we know we're going to have this tree. It'll be super dark right there, isn't it? But that doesn't mean that I can't come right into my ochre and have a little light. Pull that down, because brights create. I'm just trying to find that bank. There we go. So now I've got this little spot on the lake where my cabin's sitting. This is a really good color. I'm not even going to wash it off. I'm going to pull out some more yellow ochre and see where it's at. Let's get into our burnt. Let's take this color over to our burnt umber. And even in this case, I'm going to get my ultramarine. If you have it, you could just use your phthalo blue.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to talk just briefly. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say that there's a distant sort of little pine coming up here. This is a very dark color in this space, right? Of dark colors, but it's an important structure. So first I put in that little line and go ahead and get a little zinc and come to the right hand side of your pine and pull up just the hint of a trunk. Can you see the hint of the trunk?
Yep.
Hint! Hint, my friend. Maybe another little friend here. Little hint. You just need... Whoa, that's too much hint.
You were being too hinty.
Too hinty. I just took some purple.
You implied too much.
I implied too much. I'm just knocking this back, even around here with this purple.
It was a runaway conversation with Hermione Granger.
Yeah. A runaway conversation with Hermione Granger. What? We're nearly done, actually.
Exposition. That's what she was there for.
So, a couple little things that we can do here, but the first thing we should do is put in our distant foliage. Okay, so, how you guys doing? Catching up?
Very good.
Is our cabin in? Are rocks in?
Everyone agrees this is the cabin to live in.
This is the cabin to live in. Are we doing okay on time?
The place. Well, I didn't know we had a timer countdown. Were we
I think
T
Angela's
minus?
on after us. So
oh, that's true. I forget about that.
This is a good look. Football.
I forgot. I don't know. I will check on that. I think we're doing
I'm
good.
not recommending this as a behavior.
Oh my gosh! What did you do there?
A football season.
You football seasoned. You did. You full on football season.
You got to be this far in the painting to know this even happened.
Yeah, that was a.
You're in the in crowd. You saw the black streaks. You'll be part of the group like, did you see when she black streaked? And they'll be like, no, I didn't see. And they're like, you didn't even watch the video. I know.
Yeah.
No. I'm going to take a little, with no black on my brush. This is a very interesting thing I'm about to do. I'm going to take a little of my cad yellow and my cad red, and I'm going to make an orange. You could also just use cad orange, right? And I'm going to mix a little of this into my phthalo. You see that? You can add a little burnt umber to it to deepen it. Fall pines. Now I'm going to just very lightly make some textures. Can you see these textures?
Yeah.
in this color. So this is the canopy back here. You can add a little more orange to it if you need to, a little more red. When pines don't turn like a color, there, I just added some more red to it. Right? So there's this brighter green up here, and then I'm just working this down here. So this is the deep, distant foliage. So it's like I pull these like light. Do you see these little random light strokes I'm doing?
Yeah.
This is so light on my canvas. Right? I know I'm going to want a dark shadow right here. Don't get rid of that. And there's a little bit of highlight here. Wipe off your brush, rebel that you are. Take a little of your phthalo blue, your docks, and your burnt umber. Come up over your cabin and deepen that shadow. But now, and you can even come up into this color that you just mixed. See how I'm doing? This is how, as acrylic artists, we can mimic oil effects. Right? Our paint dries fast on us, so what do? We lean into what our paint does well.
Mm-hmm.
So we can still make soft edges. But we can make a heck of a hard edge. Right? And if you paint our stuff thick impasto, it doesn't take 55 years to dry.
That's true.
So that's a nice feature.
Because it cures.
Because
it doesn't
cures.
dry. It cures, not dries.
Cures, not dries. All right, I'm going to come along this little roof line here and hopefully not mess up my whole roof line, because that would be super upsetting. And I'm going to even take this dark value a little bit up into the space. See how I went scumbly, 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 back and forth?
Scumbly.
Scumbly, 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 rumbly. Winnie the Pooh, he knows you. It's so true. And underneath here with this deep, deep color, a little bit. See, I'm deepening up this value.
We see it.
All right, so here we are. The dark, dark forest is dark. Is that your brush? All right. I might come get a little of my zinc and my burnt umber mixture here. It's got a little purple in it, but I don't mind. And I'm going to come up my trunk a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
All right. It's fine. Wipe off. A lot of this will be covered, so I just added some distant little branches and things that you might see. And now it's going to get real. So I'm going to take my yellow and my orange. I'm going to bring them into my green. Here we go. Hard to see in the palette. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And I'm going to start, needs more yellow in it. There we go, but not so much yellow. Still more. So actually the trick to this is, and I figured this out, it was like a whole thing. So I'm going to come over here and mix a very light orange here. So instead of using yellow to lighten my green, I use this. Ah, there it is. Oop, there it is. And then if it gets too saturated and too bright, there we go. Then what I can do is I can add more red to it. And that gives me this fall turning color of pines. Look, I'm just kissing a couple branches in this background area that could be highlighted. Now I might come and see how I'm dirtying my brush in the orange here? Dirty your brush. Dirty it! I'm going to just start pulling down some of this pine color. So pine branches, they tend to pull down, they tend to flare out. Could we use a fan? We could. We could get a fan effect here. I'm just starting to talk about the highlights that we might have here. Talking about the highlights that we might have. And there certainly would be more of them on this side, wouldn't there, by the fall? They come down on the front and they might come over to the side. These little branches. Here I'm just going back and forth, this wiggle.
Mm-hmm. Just wiggling it.
Wiggle. All of us little artists have a different way of getting this done. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
Done is what matters. Fun and done is what matters. Everything else is just paint.
That's right. You know, it's
So I like that. That's a first great thing. So let's take some of this great color. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. In my orange, right? Whoa, too much orange. And that's okay. I'm not freaked much. I'm going to come right over it and just blend it right there. It'll just become part of my painting. I'm just pulling in some of these branches that are working in this way towards my cabin. See, like there's some dashes. See the dash strokes that I'm making? It's very dry. And I'm pulling this out. How is this going for everybody?
Really good.
All right. A little of my yellow, a little of my red.
Amber says, OMG, this is so gorgeous. All capitals, lots of exclamation points.
I am so glad. You're liking your painting. Can you tell me how to get to
Yay.
Sesame Street?
That'd be awesome. We need more puppets, I would say.
We do need more puppets.
That's-
There's a shocking lack of
There's
puppets.
Twix. Twix is just, she
All right.
agrees. She's like,
So
wow.
here's my green. We're almost done.
That's the most she's ever had to say about anything. Twix, come here.
She says no.
A spider. Spider's got Spider's wearing a robe and acting like a
Twix
monster.
does not approve of his clothing.
No,
Twix.
he looks like a shambling, zombie up front because he's wearing an oversized robe, and that just set Twix
see
off.
how this orange green gives me a distant foliage? It's really soft, and in the dry brush it just pushes. It's just soft against my background. And I'm leaving lots of spots of open space. So when I come back with my highlights, my brush strokes are all kind of at an angle down, and I'm dashing, aren't I?
Yeah.
And there we go. How do we love that? Pretty good. You know where else we can do? Load up our scrumbly brush. Scumble here, scumble there.
Oh,
You
he's
just
filling-
didn't even know it was that bright, though, until you put it on there. And you're like, that was so bright. It was.
Yeah.
But you never knew. So adding some yellow, pulling that out, right? And coming to my green, and it's an orange yellow. Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just trying to find that perfect. Oh, there we are. And let's give some highlights.
Where are you going with those?
Even more
for the trees?
highlighted. Even more yellow. Let's highlight our trees. There can be a couple here, but let's really highlight a little bit right here so we can see these branches over a cabin. And then, of course, this here can have some highlights.
Barbara's pointing out, you've got over 550 likes so far. 557.
We all want to go to this cabin, right?
Well, you don't get to see the comments and the things that are going on, so they really enjoy this. They think this is fantastic.
I'm scumbling a little plant life right here. It could be here. And while I'm here, I'm going to say, hey, little plant life, come over here.
Stalin says hashtag Snuffleupagus.
Hashtag Snuffleupagus for life, man. So I've given a little highlight of little plants here, haven't I? Or I've given some structure where there's something afoot here.
Yeah.
Because we love it. And then I might get some more green. Because I don't want to be mean to my tree.
And puppets have a soft spot in my heart. If you actually like puppets and tech, I will advise another channel. I don't know them personally, but I really like his channel.
He watches them a lot. They have no idea they're being stalked by John Cooney.
Well, I like his channel, Techmoan. You can check him out. He's got all sorts of really cool stuff like vintage tech.
I'm going to rinse out my brushes getting gummies.
But at the end, he does this bit with puppets, which I think is awesome when he does it. So.
All right. Let's get right in there with the yellow.
Moon Shadow Girl says you should be dancing because we got so many people here that are doing awesome and they're enjoying their painting with you, and they think that you're up for it. You're always up for the paint with your serious your football eyes.
Don't do this with Cad.
She's
That's as smart as black. I'm not saying it's face paint at all.
She's got those John Madden eyes. I can't sing or reference 80s songs very well.
But
that's what you get.
Brilliant. I'm going to get some more yellow on my brush out here. All right. So let's get some highlights to these distant little trees. Right? I'm in my orange. Just highlight them up. That's what we need. Just highlighting them up. See that nice deep dark end of summer pine color? Now we know, and really this is about just finding, you have to let enough of the forest remain behind to get this lighting. So I'd say the danger would be to overtree. And you can always push it back with some purple. I'm going to add a little highlight here. Fantastic. I feel like we've got this pushback forest. All we've got to do is come into our red. And you're going to make this color right here. See, I've just taken my green over to my cad red light and I've scumbled it around. Let's add some fall
now we got
color over here. See that? And let's come right here and also add some fall color. And if you want, you can come back and get a little more cad red on there. And pop a stronger bit of this. These are like little low vines and leaves that are having a little moment. And I think it's fun, this is just a preference that I have, to take a little of my green and a little of my Doc's purple and a little of my phthalo blue. Right, I'm going to get a smidge of my zinc if there's any to get, because as you can see it's skinned. And I'm going to just add a little of this purple flower. Now I'm just getting my phthalo blue and Doc's purple. Just a smidge of this right here. Just a couple little, some little low-hanging. Look at that little guy. He's just there. He's like something sweet and planted.
Yeah.
This one looks a little bright to me, so I'm going to rinse this out. And I'm going to come back with a little of my phthalo green and phthalo purple. And make sure that I push this back just a bit, because he's just too bright. See what I mean? Can I see better now?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Gonna zoom in on there.
We'll let him have a rest, and I'm gonna come back and push that back.
See, I can zoom in on there, and you can see there. See, kind of.
Sometimes stuff gets just a little too far forward, and then you're like, "Hey,
get back here! Get in the back!"
Not so much, you. Not so much." We want a little purple flower here, but we don't want him to be the whole thing. And that's an important important factor. Okay, there we go. All right, happier. Now, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
As
so
long as you don't have to eat
happen.
it, I'm fine.
You have a cabin door, right? And I'm going to make some sketches.
Oh, those are important. Now these little reflection
are
lines.
critical. And what I need to make sure, I'm going to be doing these sort of wiggle reflections, but I'm going to need to make sure.
Now, what are you doing right now here, so you can explain to everybody?
I am laying in where I know my door has to come reflect down and where I know my window is going to have to come reflect down.
Now, why are those important?
Because that's what's going to create the mirror effect in the water.
Right.
So my door wouldn't be over here, my door wouldn't be over here. If I flipped the image flat down like a pancake, let's say I went flip, made an imprint, like that guy with the hand that paints faces. That's where the door would have to be. So your trick to this is when you're painting a reflection, I don't care what reflection you're painting, if you give yourself the guide where you say, all right, and my door just happens to be about ruler width, just make sure that your lines coming down in your water, and these are chalk so they'll just erase, allow you to line these objects up. Now another thing I've got here, and this is one of my favorite things, is yellow pine tree. So I'm going to come over to the right of my window to some degree, right? Because some of the little pine branches are going to come up over it. And I'm going to plant anywhere my little yellow pine, and it's going to go a little bit above the roof. See my little yellow pine? That's where he lives now.
Mm-hmm.
My little yellow pine. My little yellow pine. I'm going to get my number 4. I am. And I'm going to take a little of my Mars Black in my umber. Maybe even radically some of my purple.
Oh, Hasi thinks that there needs to be a hoot owl lurking in the trees.
There should be. You put everybody in your woods you want. You feel good about that. All right. Do. All right. So once I've loaded this, I pulled. What have I come? I pulled and flipped, add a little purple, pulled and flipped. Number 4, cat's tongue. Any brush that'll give you a line you trust. That's all you're looking for out of this experience. The line
Is a trusting line.
is a trusting line.
A line that you can
I'm going to
rely
dip my
on.
brush and improve the flow of my paint so I can get a fluid line off my brush.
A line that you can lean on.
So my trunk's going to be thicker at the base and thinner at the top. Another thing I'm going to have is a shadow all around my little tree, so I might as well just put that little thing in right now, huh? Because that's how I plant it. Get some zinc first and come right here. Just highlight a little bit the right side of some of your trunk. It'll work.
Mm-hmm.
Rinse. Now, what do we need? We know this is based in kind of an orange, right? So I'm going to take a little of my cad red and a lot of my cad yellow. Here we go. And then I'm going to do an interesting other thing. So this guy stands out from his friends. Take a little of your Doc's purple and a little of your cad red. These are 2 oranges. Now, so when I get my phthalo green and mix in this, look what this weird, crazy, warm color I get is. This warmth is going to pull this tree from the forest behind it into the focus. Focus! I'm going to win tree. Oh, these lines are affecting my face. So I'm going to dab the top, right? I'm dabbing. And then I'm going to remember what I know about pines. Well, they have little branches that dance out to the right, and I use the tip of my brush. Kiss your canvas. Let it come down and kiss your canvas. You can let some of your trunk show, because it will on some pines. They're not even cones, right? They're not a triangle skirt that comes out. Don't make that dress from the Christmas play. Right? Most of this dark foliage will be focused over to where? The left-hand side. And I'm going to leave some of my trunk showing. Now some of these branches will come out to the right. See, I'm going pull on the tip of my brush.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've got our orange here. Let's get a little green on it. All right, a little bit right now. There it is, nicely loaded, both sides. Tap over. We know we've got to let some of this shadow be on the left, but I put in this deep value that's going to help everything in the pine. See how it's there? Just a little bit of it. So even though this tree becomes quite yellow, it has some depth. It's a meaningful tree, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure your trees are meaningful. All right. Now, yellow into that mixture. See how bright? How bright is your pine?
How bright is your pine?
Darn bright. Now I'm going to dab that up a little bit higher. See, I went dab. And I use my previous strokes as a guide, but I don't actually try to completely erase that. I don't try to ninja them where I walk exactly in the steps that I've taken before. Otherwise, I leave nothing to peek out and to be a dark value, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know the lightness of my tree needs to be more to the right-hand side. So you can lightly say there's something here, but you don't want to say it heavily. See how this tree is almost to the yellow?
Yeah.
He's almost there, but how do we get him there? We come right into the yellow.
Right into the yellow.
Right into the yellow, and move our titanium white over. Digging out a little white. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Brighter now, isn't
yeah,
it?
It's just cow.
Pacow is our goal. Pacow your tree. Seriously, I would show this to a landscaper. I'm like, I don't know what that pine is. I made it up, but you find it. And it's okay to get a little of your yellow in here and add some dashes of that.
Sue is excited about this one, thinks she's going to give it a go.
I love that you are, Sue. Now, I'm going to add some of these pine needles to the ground. See this lightness here?
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird deal I do, but I feel like it makes the piece seem whole. That wired glass little stroke did not make the piece seem whole. So I'm going to erase it.
Okay. You're like, no.
No.
Not the rock I wanted.
Not the rock. But now, what do I have to keep track of?
More rocks?
This pine.
Oh, okay. You got to make the pine be straight and tall in the reflection, too.
Yes, I do as well. So let me, I've got to flip all my paintings over.
And they would like you to know, by the way, that you have over 600 likes right now. And they're like, you should totally know that. While you're fixing your tree and making it all be awesome.
We got to add another highlight to it.
We put some more highlights in there. You can dance and bubble and highlight.
It just needs to dry for a second.
Oh, you're just letting it dry. Well, thank you guys for all coming and hanging out with us and giving us 600 likes. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And don't forget to comment on the posted up here afterwards and leave us pictures. We want to see your paintings, right? So post those up on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and our website and all those places, right?
All the places.
All the social places.
All the social places, man.
We gotta do that. We gotta be good YouTubers and act for the like, comment, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell. In 10 years they're gonna be like, what bell? What are you talking about, Sherpa? And we're gonna be like,
considering how often they
back in our day when we were on YouTube.
So what I'm doing is I'm flipping the image and I'm sketching in certain lines. I know, right, that I'm going to need some wiggles of brown. I'm going to do some of my roof line, and I've got to have my tree here kind of wiggling. So once I know where that is, that's going to let me start put in the water. It's a whole interesting journey to put in the water. So let's start by adding a couple guidelines for ourselves. Do we remember how we mixed our roof color, right?
I do not.
So I'm going to take a little of my brown, and it's got a little of my purple in it, and a little of my yellow ochre. I'm going to come over here, right? Add a little of your cad red to this. We're going to start talking about this roof color. We're going to go, see how I'm coming along this weird little chalk line that I made? So I took my chalk line from directly here, right, about 2 fingers above from the bottom. And here, one trick that we can do is if we flip this over, see, we can use this as a guide.
Then you have 2 upside down paintings instead of 1.
Right, but what I can do then is say, all right, see how I'm taking this number 4 and I'm just dashing it, and I'm wiggling. See the wiggle back and forth?
You're implying the roof line.
The reason there's a wiggle in the water and it's not a mirror reflection is this waterfall is a big deal. It impacts everything.
It makes the water wiggle.
It makes the water wiggle. Go ahead and you can take some of this color right here. And there can be just a little of this right here. Maybe a few pieces. This is all I really need when I'm starting. Now I'm going to come get some of my red and with a little bit of my blue in it. I haven't even rinsed out my brush. There you go. My colors in my water also will be darker than the colors in my cabin.
Had I known, I'd have put the picture-in-picture upside down.
It's okay. It's just something they need to know, to think upside down. Sometimes just flip your painting over. Don't try to paint it where it's going to strain your brain. And then let's make a little wiggle there and a little wiggle here. And then we know we've got a little wiggle of red
Now, if you need
here. And I can come back with more And I might even give myself a little wiggle right over here to the right. So these are some weird objects that I'm going to want to work with, but I need to know where those are. One thing, I'm going to flip this back over for a second, and I'm going to get my green into my yellow. Right? I'm going to tint it with just, gosh, a hint of the orange and a lot of the white, because I need a little highlight here.
Now, in the description below, there's a link to our website, which has the Traceable right there on it.
Yes.
So, and I'll jump out there and double check if it's not out there right now. It will be shortly after the show.
Because we're certainly guilty of that. I just want to make sure I have all my colors in my tree in there. So when I flip it, it's nice and yellow. All right. So I'm going to flip this back. I'm going to flip this back. So what's going on? I've got my little wiggles that are going to go here. I've got a waterfall.
You do?
I do. So one of the things that I'm going to want to start with is a little of my phthalo turquoise, which is my blue and my green. And I'm going to just start wiggling that back and forth. This brush stroke is scumbly. It's furtive. I may even come and work some stuff up in the corner. I'm going to be reflecting my forest down here. I'm going to be reflecting waterfall values. I'm going to be reflecting my cabin. Lots is happening. Little of my phthalo green and phthalo blue. Right? Let's come up here and make sure we've got a nice deep dark color. And yeah, in my brush strokes, I'm just making sure that this implication is constantly enforced. Right? So you can see me doing this even in these deep values. And these deep values can come right across this canvas, can't they? Just right across this canvas. Little phthalo blue, little phthalo green. Just keep this dark color here in this corner. This is our deep value in the water. And I've got to build this up. Back and forth, coming through here. Right? Will we add some other values? Yes, we will. You've got to make sure that the depth that is your water is laid in. And it's going to be about flipping the canvas upside down, flipping it back, flipping it upside down, flipping it back. Now, you may not enjoy this as much as I do, but I have dyslexia. So sometimes I have to do tricks to help me see things when my brain doesn't want to see them. Right? So when I'm trying to see something, I can be like, oh, that's what's going on. Notice I'm just coming back and forth. At this stage, it's a little rough, it's a little awkward, but don't worry about that. Now for a second, flip this back over. So I've got some stuff that I have to talk about here that's going down vertical, and I'm going to need to get one of my vertical brushes. And in this particular case, I'm going to get, I don't know, like a number 8 Cambridge. And I've got to start pulling some vertical reflections down, don't I? So I know my rocks are my phthalo blue and Mars black. So I can start coming along the edge here. See, I'm wiggling back and forth, wiggling, 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 wiggling. This is sort of a scruffy little brush, isn't it? If you need some glazing medium, it is your friend right now. But I'm not going to be using water to thin. And I'm going to start pulling this dark value down. See me pulling it down? Pulling it down. pulling that down. Now, one thing you can do is you can grab, I'm going to add a little purple to this. You can grab your zinc and add this very subtle, you see that reflection pulling down? A little zinc. So what's here, I need to somehow talk about down here. This is how I'm talking about these rocks. If I got a little green and burnt umber in them, I'm going to get my zinc. Right? And maybe I'm going to add a little of that color. If I've got a little of my yellow oxide, you're just going to want to show some of that color. Just see how subtle it is too? The brush stroke is soft. It's not heavy. If I got heavy here, it would get away from me super quick. And I would not enjoy the result. Pull this back here. One thing I can do is I can grab my Doc's purple and a little of my glaze. We'll pull this down a little bit longer. See the Doc's? Let's get some phthalo green over that. Interesting, right? We're getting it darker here. Little Doc's purple, a little phthalo green. Glaze to help me. Pulling that down a little bit. As the water moves away from the waterfall, it will get stiller. So it's going to be just about you finding that process between the wiggling of the motion of the water, the colors that you're pretty sure you need to see. Look, I'm going to get right into my yellow and a little of my zinc white here. More zinc white.
Now,
and I'm just making sure that some of this, like here's like sort of that tree implied, maybe his little friend.
Now, let's say that you're in your studio hanging out like Amber was, and a giant spider just started to crawl up you, and you freak out, and you make your reflection have a big crazy line in it, and you messed it up.
What do you mean?
Well, like, so she was just saying that she freaked out because she was like a big spider came and crawled on her, and she got a crazy line across her reflection. So how
just
could she
let it dry, paint over it.
Oh, okay.
Right, like so.
Layers.
I'll fix that in a minute.
You'll fix that. That's not a big deal.
No, I'll fix that in a minute. Probably end up being a feature. Probably make the whole thing look better. It's likely what will happen. I'm going to take a little of my phthalo green and a little of my burnt umber and a little of my phthalo blue. And I guess I'm just taking this number 6 right here. And I'm wiggling back and forth some of this darker color, right? And I'll pull this in there. So here's the reflections pulling down, and here's some back and forth wiggling. We know we've got to have some burnt right here, so we have to reflect the cabin. So I'm doing it.
I see it.
Adding this dark. What's the brush stroke? Back and forth. All right, if I need more phthalo, come right here, maybe right down here. I know I've got to have this red here, but it's okay for me. So I've just grabbed some zinc and what am I doing? I'm wiggling back and forth. Letting that dry. Right, what's a nice color that I've got going here? I've got a little of my burnt umber and a little of my burnt sienna. Let's wiggle some of that in the water. We'll use our highlights And say, oh, some of that color got reflected over here. It was crazy. Crazy things happened. All right. I'm going to get a little of my cat red and my purple. Alright, you can paint that sort of in and then just wiggle that back and forth. And we're going to have to come back in a second. Here's the purple that's going to be right here to create that reflection. It never hurts whenever I have a color to take it over a little bit. Alright, I'm going to add a little white to my brush. I'm going to just wiggle this. See? So I come from right here over on the right, on the edge of my brush, and I'm just softly back and forth. And I'm snaking into this cabin here. This little bit of color. I'm not stressed about it, because I know if I layer, I'll be okay. I'm going to take a little of my green and brown. And I'm going to come back and start working out that mistake I didn't want. I know I'm going to have a lot of tree over it, so I don't have to be too perfect about it. I just want to make sure that a little, like I'm going to have some of my, if I took my red and my yellow and I made my orange again and came over into my green, I would want to avoid the area with the purple. Right? I'm going to want to show some wiggles of this green color, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to want. Maybe grab some of this green purple, and look, we're wiggling it up here. See the wiggles? We're filling in spaces and we're adding these dark values in this pull. What's the press? Back, forth, wiggle it around. I know it seems crazy, but you can totally do it. Right?
Yeah.
Get a little of your yellow on the brush, right? Let's add a few little, just a bit, right? You can come and add a little there. One color you might not think to add is get a little of your red, right? Because there's some here, so what could you put here? You put a little of it there, couldn't you? It helps you. Helps you tell that story. Right? Helps you tell the story of this coming down and reflecting. When we put the water reflection in, we'll put a nice reflection from the door down through the water. It's really going to just please us to no end. So I've got my green and my purple. I can come over to my black. And if I get titanium white, I can get a stronger reflection. See that there?
Mm-hmm.
You can put this right here from the shoreline. If a reflection comes in like this, by the way, if it comes from up and down, you know, try to make a V so that they converge. Cool thing that you can do. So I've got my yellow and my green. I might get a little of my red into it. And one of the things I can talk about is this crazy little tree that I've got reflecting in the water. There it is. Do we see it now?
It is. It has appeared in your reflection.
Yes, it's in my reflection. Starting to see it. Starting to know it's there.
Yeah.
You know. So these are just wonderful things that you can do. I'm going to rinse out for a second. Let's see how we're doing. We're nearly done. Nearly.
Nearly there.
Honestly, a lot of artists just stop here. But we're going to take this thing the whole way in. We're going to give it the whole glow. Because you guys deserve the whole glow, don't you?
All the glowy bits.
All right, so let's take our red into our yellow ochre. Right? You can gray it if it's too bright with a little of your diox, see? And let's in a more considered way, talk a little bit more about some of that and the reflection. Grab some more of your brown just right on here, right? I'm going to get a little of my red into my brown and add a little of my ochre. Add some reflection through there. Maybe a little bit here that was just reflecting from this cabin down, right? Some burnt umber right on my brush. And it can help with that to get some of the green into it. So it's like the water is deepening the color. That's what you really want it to do. So phthalo green, phthalo blue, burnt umber. Let's deepen this color. See that? We want to cover everything. We do want some of the dark watercolor to break our lighter lines. You can come right here and deepen this too. Anywhere that there's like a pop. So see, I've left a little of these lines. I'm going to come and get loaded right on my brush a little of my ochre. You can have a little of it there, and maybe there's a little reflected from the steps. Right. A little bit here. Just talk a little bit about this roof bit right here. Get a little of your white on there. A little more of your white. This is a water reflection, right? So it's got this little lighter color. Now, we've got some cool things to do here. First, I'm going to take I've rinsed out my brush. I'm going to load, 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 pull, pull, pull my phthalo blue and green, creating my deep turquoise. Making this dark bit right here. I feel like that's important through here. Okay. I'm going to grab I haven't even rinsed. You guys catch this? And now, I'm just tapping, maybe like a little across here, but it's like rough and unexpected and comes forward. Little tap there of the red across, little tap, tap, tap. See how the reflection is now broken up? We want it there. We don't want it on broken water to be on a perfect little of this red right here, right? Now I'm going to get a little of my yellow. There we go. Into my orange. Right here. So if it's here, flip it. It's in the right hand corner. Then it's the opposing. There we go. Let's make sure that a little of that color comes up. Rinse out really well. And I'm going to pull out a little of my yellow so it's not so dirty. I'm going to get a little of my white. It's okay if you grab like a little bit of that so it's not super much anything. But go ahead and add this. Look at this loosely mixed hot mess bit. Right up here. Now, rocks. I'm going to wipe this off. So what I did is I pulled down, and then where the water is starting to... So now, do we have a water reflection that we have down now? The light is reflected in the water, the cabin's reflected in the water, but the water is moving. You can even take some more of your, orange green from your one tree. You can add a couple little bits of whatever that color is. Maybe it has some white in it. Right? So if this highlights here, where you show that color, it should reflect that, shouldn't it? You can even have that break that barrier. Now all we have left is this corner right here. So, phthalo blue, phthalo green, phthalo blue, phthalo green. We'll start with some, there we go, zinc white. And let's wiggle it just a little bit. So you're going back and forth. You're doing the wiggle. You're doing the water wiggle. You can carry any of your colors, right, through the water. Phthalo blue, phthalo green. Little whites on the brush. Look how I'm wiggling it. The most activity will be near the waterfall, and then it's going to get less as it comes out. These layers have built up, and I'm just going back and forth. The other thing is the ripples will get bigger and more widened out as they get away from the water. Just my phthalo blue, just my purple here, right? But let's say we wanted to get some Indian yellow in there. Look at that. What is that suddenly talking about? All of this up in here, isn't it? You guys see it?
Yeah.
Is everybody seeing? Is everything okay?
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm taking this back. So these are all of this comes to reflect in all of this, doesn't it? All right. So if you had a little of your red and your green, you could reflect some of that. Look at that. Right here in this lower right quadrant, I'm just like back and forth. Just a little bit of that in the water. Because it's where? It's elsewhere. It's up in there. You can grab back some Indian yellow. Back into my phthalo blue. You know, you could add a little zinc and come right here and add, because there's a highlight up here. What could you add? A highlight right here, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
You could totally add that. Phthalo blue, phthalo green, titanium white. Let's start talking about this right here. This is just a light mixture. Now what's going to happen along this cabins line is I'm going to create a little kind of light corridor of this water. See how I'm doing?
Oh, yeah.
I'm also going to bring one out here. Definitely all along here. See? I'm going to get a little more of my white on my brush. Churning water. There it goes. Let's grab a little more. Churn some water over here. Maybe a couple little reflections of that. Anywhere our canvas looks rough and unconsidered, come back with your phthalo blue and your phthalo green and deepen that color. See how it blends in? The whole of the forest reflects here. You know, consider. You come here and too much. If it's too much, just blend it out. Look, I'm blending it out. Come back, phthalo blue, phthalo green. You're never overwhelmed. And then another thing you can do is you can grab a little of your zinc white and make sure that your waterfall here, see, is even mistier.
See? Make sure that it's even here. See?
See, Bugsy, see? This is our getaway cabin, see? And we don't want the coppers to find us, no, see? Alright, so when I have that, I'm going to grab a little of my white.
There's a Bugsy movie coming out, isn't there?
Look, this is just titanium white. Look, look at this little circular motion. with that little circular motion right there. Just kind of kiss, 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 making sure I don't make just a circle and making little bits of activity.
That's a Bonnie and Clyde movie. That's what I was thinking. That's what's coming out.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Now let me look at my reflection. Step back. It's a good time to evaluate what you've got.
I think you're looking pretty good with your John Madden eyes.
John Madden eyes. She's got John. Yeah, I don't really think.
I
think we really found it, guys.
I think you
we
found
did it.
I think you found it.
I think we got through it. And I think I'm going to take a little of my zinc, load up my brush, come here to the side.
You're going to sign it.
Always thinking about how my signature impacts my piece. That's all I'm saying. You know, just make sure that what you're laying in doesn't undo all the hard work you did.
Well, they have already started in and chiming in how much they love this. This was fantastic. There's over 670 thumbs up. They are really enjoyed this. We've had a crew of people out here. You know, Cinnamon, I know you don't get a chance to see all this out here, but they really love doing this. This was a great painting. Thank you.
So where are they going to go right after this?
Angela?
Yeah, what time is it?
I don't know. It's 1:39.
Okay. So Angela is coming on after me, so that's where you're going to go visit. And
Yes.
then after Angela, you're going to go visit Ginger Cook Live.
Yes.
And each of us has created an escape that you would pay good money for to go to. These are all dream getaways with incredible scenery where you're just like, man, other people live like that, but not us, because we can paint anything we want. So we can have any view we like. I really hope someday there's a cabin like this for somebody to get away to enjoy their lives.
Well, it'll be on the wall for all of us to enjoy.
Be on the wall for all of us to enjoy. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other.
Yes.
And I want to see you at the easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.